Shalom, shalom. I want to begin by giving all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakodash, double unless elders and apostle of Great Millstone, and enough respect to the brothers that are out there pushing and spreading the truth, which is the gospel of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai to the four corners of the world. Um, through the Spirit, I have a quick article and I just want to do a video on it. It's entitled, "This One-Two Punch from China and Russia Marks the End of American Adventurism." When you look at the word adventurism, it says the willingness to take risk in business or politics, especially in the context of foreign policy, actions, tactics, or attitudes regarding or daring, right? Or regarded as daring or reckless. Okay? And because we live in a multipolar world, the Most High has turned us into a multipolar world. Um, America is no longer in a position to do as they please. They are no longer in a situation to be reckless, all right? To not do things without considering the future, without considering the latter end. But before we get into this article, I just want to read Revelation chapter 18, start from verse 16. It says, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen, and purple, and scarlet, and decked with gold, and precious stones and pearls, that great city we know is America. 18 verse 17, it says, For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster, and all the company, and ships, and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood far off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads, and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city wherein we were made rich, all that had shipped in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. This place is no longer going to be known as a land of opportunity, where people are made rich, where people could come up into society, can come up from nothing to having what? To having riches. It says, Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophet, for God has avenged you on her. All right? And this vengeance upon Babylon, upon Esau Edom, is what we look forward to. Okay? So let's read how the Most High manifests His word. Again, it says, This 1-2 punch from China and Russia marks the end of American adventurism. And when we read it, you're gonna find out that we're just gonna get into it. For starters, while the conflict itself was at least initially part of it, right. It says Damascus officially joined China's Belt and Road Initiative on Wednesday, which will provide a massive lifeline to the country that had been torn to shreds after more than a decade of war and Western sanctions. This is what it's all about. Okay? See, the Most High is gearing these nations. He's gearing an army against Babylon. Okay, and the only thing that Babylon has as an edge over them mainly is sanctions. That's what it always comes down to. See, Russia surpasses what I'm just gonna say it. Russia surpasses the U.S. when it comes to brute military forces. The very fact that they can stand against America and NATO, right, altogether, shows you that. But the thing that kind of restrains them is the sanctions part. Okay, the fact that the United States can cut them off from globalization, from trade, and it can be devastating, to their economic structure. And so this Road Belt and Road Initiative, we're going to read about it, okay, and we're going to see how they combat that. Because if they can take care of all these of this sanction bullshit, then the United States really will be in a world of hurt. They will be stuck between a rock and a hard place. All right, that says the Belt and Road Initiative formerly known as One Belt, One Road, or BOR for short. It's a global infrastructure developed. It's a global infrastructure development strategy developed by the Chinese government in 2013 to invest in nearly 70 countries and internal organizations. It is considered a centerpiece of the Chinese leader Xi Jinping's foreign policy. Okay, um, the brief forms a central component of Xi's major country diplomacy strategy, which calls for China to assume a greater leadership role for global affairs in accordance with its rising power and status. Jump down to make the real point. Uh, you don't really need a history of it. Right. It says the stated objectives are to construct a unified large market and make full use of both international and domestic markets through cultural exchange and in, and integration to enhance mutual understanding and trust of member nations, resulting in an innovative patterns of capital inflows, talent pools, and technology databases. The Belt and Road Initiative addresses an infrastructure gap and thus has the potential to accelerate economic growth across the Asian Pacific, Africa, and Central and Eastern Europe. All right. A report from the World Pension Council estimates that Asia, including China, requires up to what 900 billion of infrastructure to invest per year over the next decade, right? Mostly in debt instruments. It just goes about how much money they need. But nevertheless, they will accomplish this because that is the main thing that kind of hinders them from really moving forward to this world. You know, if they can't tackle sanctions, the only option that they have is to go on a suicide mission. And right now, the Mossad just wants this to calm down for now. Things just need to build up to completion. You know, see, just as though I'm reading this to you right now, there are new sanctions that's put on Russia right now from NATO. Okay, so this thing is what they're actually dealing with right now. And so when it says that the inclusion of Damascus, right, will provide a massive, when it says that the inclusion of these nations, what will um will mark the end of American adventurism. Yeah, you're right. You know, America is now in a position in which they can't just do whatever it is that they want. This ain't a third world nation. This is not Somalia. This this isn't Iraq or something like that. You have these big nations with resources and military might to back, you know, to keep these resources out of the hands of America, and they're doing it rightfully so. Well, I don't mean it in righteousness, but I mean like they're doing it. You know, I guess they're good at doing what it is that they do. Is what I mean to say. All right. Um, So it says Damascus officially joined China's Belt and Road Initiative on Wednesday, which will provide a massive lifeline to the country that has been torn to shreds after more than a decade of war and Western sanctions. And this is something that's going to be attractive to these other nations too. Every nation that has been subject to sanctions, that whose government has been crippled, Venezuela, for example, they will easily they will happily join this infrastructure. They will happily join this alliance, man, this Belt and Road Initiative. Why? Because they too are crippled, you know, by Western sanctions. Because whenever Babylon wants a regime change, whenever they want to come to your country and tell you how to set up your government, and you don't listen to them, what do? They cut you off from the world, from trade, and you die, man. Your country slowly dies, just so they won't control up the top. They will starve out. They'll they'll starve out the citizens. But more than this development has a precedent that will fundamentally change the geopolitical landscape. This is because the decade-spanning Syrian conflict has hosted several proxy conflict, which has invariably left the United States and Western allies the losers. And I don't really think that this is actually true. You know, them leaving, Afghanistan and these Middle Eastern countries, it I don't. It's it's a bad narrative that they're pushing. Don't be swayed into it. Babylon is not falling because Ishmael held out, on Babylonian invasion. That's not what happened. You know, as a matter of fact, they actually pulverized these nations. What eventually happened was that they just got bored of spending too much money for too little. That's all it is. Too much manpower, too much resources for so little. That's all that happened, you know. And the fact that they are in a new age where they have to what? They have to be um, politically righteous. That's pretty much all it happens. They weren't really losers because right now they could just simply just go back the next day and then just do what they were doing before. Um, but that's another thing. Mm, yeah, it's a lot more than, but I just want to jump to the point of it because they actually get into Syria, and I don't really care about all that. Um, it goes on to how Syria is replenished through this means, but continuing says, as the second largest economy in the world and the driving force behind the greatest global infrastructure and development drive in history, the BRI is a natural fit for Syria. It will help the country rebuild, rebound, and provide win-win opportunities for both countries, while also likely bringing the conflict finally to an end. So how they're gonna advertise this Belt and Road Initiative. They're gonna play it off as something that revives a nation, something that counts to the benefit of your economy if you join. You know, um, it says it is the quint, quintessential example of how America bombs and China rebuilds. Right, and this is probably going to be the motto of it: America bombs and China rebuilds. While that is certainly something to on its own, in the context of how in the context of how this U.S.-led foreign intervention was resisted, largely thanks to Russia, I believe it shows a sort of one-two punch that can and will be repeated. Even if it was not coordinated originally, it is a precedent I believe both Moscow and Beijing should and undoubtedly will apply elsewhere. That's right, and they definitely will apply it elsewhere. You know, and for all we know, this may be the bait. This will be um the beautiful thing that attracts the beast, man. You know, um because the scripture does speak of the beast turning on the whore. They shall hate the whore. You know, it says it goes to show that Washington's military and economic aggressions can both be countered. Whew, if Russia and China work in tandem as a bulwark against what unilateralism. It's for this reason I believe Syria will be the graveyard of what American adventurism. And what is the saying? The saying is that America now, as we see it, is the symbol of an empire in decay. All right, this place is fallen, man. The Most High will avenge us. Hey, man, this place got to go, and we can't wait to see the hand of the Most High play out, man. Because see, it's like um when you consider Israel when we were in Egypt, when they considered the prophecies where after 400 years the Mosai would deliver them, before the Mosai actually delivered them, they it, you didn't really like you won't really They never prepared for how the Most High was actually saved them from Israel. Nobody, you can never prepare for the wonders of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And that is what I'm trying to say right now. See, a time is coming where we will marvel, man. All the things that we've heard right now, it's gonna be like, yo, I'm telling you, man, the things that the Most High is getting ready to do on this place, man, you would never prepare your heart for. You can never prepare your heart for it. The Most High will blow your mind away, man. And this is what we are waiting for. Yeah, we keep saying the chariots are gonna come down, but we are yet to see these things, man. And when we see it, it'll be the greatest thing a man will ever it'll be the greatest thing that has ever been witnessed, in history. Proverbs chapter 21, verse 1, it says, "The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will." Verse 2, "Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the heart." That's right. And everything that's going on right now, all this strategy, all this think tanks, all this war room talks in this world, it is all the will of Yahweh Shemeshai. It is the counsel of Yahweh Shemeshai standing tall and proud, you know, and it will be done. Prophecies will come to pass. America will be destroyed, and so with these other nations, they will be destroyed. They will be subdued by the Israelites, right? Which will be led by Yahweh Shai with the blessing of Yahweh, you know? And so with that, I hope edification goes out. To the brothers that are listening, I want to say Shalom, Yahweh Bashim Mashah Brakatha. To the few aquafs that are also listening in truth and sincerity, I want to say Shalom, Yahweh Bashim Mashah Brakatha. May the blessing of legend be upon all our houses, man. May the Most High have mercy upon us. May we be privileged, and receive the mercies and the grace of Yahweh Bashim Mashai in these latter ends. So with that, I'm going to end it right there. Shalom.